probably perhaps things that you haven't dealt with within
Within
yourself
yourself.
first,
Right.
right? So, you might have a not so good attitude, right? And in order for you to reconcile that difference, you got to deal with somebody who don't have a not so good, oh, excuse me, who has a not so good attitude.
Right. So one could say the wilderness represents a place of experiences with
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
It's desolate. It's nothing out there. But things happen that gives you mirrors to reflect yourself. Like if I get mad at you, something you say or do, and I'm upset about it, like why is he not? It's not you. It's me. You just gave me the sounding board, so to speak, the mirror to look at this thing that I don't like and wonder and go within and figure out why is this affecting me this way.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just going like you said about the whole experience thing. Like this person has a certain way they see things, a certain way they believe it, and I got to get you to believe it my way. You should walk away and say, "Well, why do you have to get them to believe it that way?
Well, because I got a duty.
Why?
Right.
Like, I mean, what?
I'm telling you.
Okay, you have a duty.
Yeah.
So you've based on your reasoning of how you perceive whatever your religiosity, beliefs, holy texty, you have come up with the conclusion that you have been chosen. So what you've done is you've given yourself a purpose.
Yeah.
You've given yourself a purpose to go and bother other people.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. It's an interesting state of being.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which, as you unpack that, what you'll come to find out is that manner of consciousness is resolve. Well, it's an attempt to resolve doubt.
And trauma.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when you know, right, when you're sure, there's no need to convince. I think that there should come a point where you can start discerning the symbology of what you perceive.
The thought that comes to me is like you made a statement before, like I'm the real and that's a fake. I don't think it's about being a real and a fake.
Right.
I think ultimately, and I'm talking about ourselves, Hebrews, and we've seen things in the media with Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, so on and so forth, different people talking about fake this and fake that. I believe when you say somebody's a fake anything, by the definition, one could say it is anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But if you recognize that you are that which you say you are, then you do that which you say you are and what they do.
Right.
And even according to the scriptures, if somebody is propounding to be X, Y, and Z, you
them.
accept them as such.
Let them be.
They are who they say they are.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? If this dude says I'm Istanbuli and we follow Istanbuli religion, blah 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 blah, who am I? And if I believe I'm the same thing, but it goes back to expression. If I'm expressing it as this, who am I to tell them not to express it as that?
Right.
Hold on. And if it's a creator thing, we got parables, wheats and tares. If that is the truth and you believe it, allow the creator to be the separator of the wheat and tares. You just draw it to your own.
But what it is, I need to be the one that separate the wheat and the tares.
Well, you out of place and you out of order.
Well, the thing is, it's on both ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
The thing is,
Fourth principle.
They don't recognize us as being Hebrews or Israelites.
Right.
And a lot of us don't recognize them as being Hebrews or Israelite, And mainly because they call themselves Jews. They don't really call themselves Israelites.
Right.
But, that's a different thing. They still hold fast to Abrahamic covenants.
Right.
Or the law.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's particularly states in your book that anybody that holds forth this law, you're supposed to bring them in and treat them as your brother.
As an Israelite.
As an Israelite.
As far as I'm concerned, what anybody's doing outside of me when it comes to my my beliefs in the Creator and how I believe in Torah, it's none of my business.
You know what? I
That's
think
if they're following the covenant the way they express it, that's my brother.
all good.
And if a brother is on the street corner and he's professing the same beliefs and he's expressing it with differences or whatever the case may be, guess what? That's my brother.
Facts.
So again, when you're sitting on one side, on the other side, you're in a consciousness that's dealing with polarity, which is what the fourth principle is all about. You're not wrong, but you're not right either. You just are where you are. And it's in order for us to be an influence or utilizing that influence, which we say is religion, it's like we need to start understanding our sameness versus our differences. And that's not only through African American, so-called black, whatever the case may be, that's through all people. It's understanding that, listen, if this group is purporting the same spiritual system or religious belief as you, get to understand their perspective and say, okay, that's a little bit different, but we do come together on this foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because a person that's living in the desert, a person that's living in the jungle, and a person that lives in the mountain, they may worship or call on the same name of the same deity, but how it's expressed in the mountain is going to be different than how it's expressed in the desert. Right. If you had to be a person of warfare or culture of warfare for so many thousands of years, your expression might be warlike. And if you've been in a peaceful condition for several thousands of years, your expression may be just peace. And when the peace and the war meet each other, it's like, yo, we can't be from the same place. We can't be expressing the same thing, but you're not wrong, but you're not right. It's just a different aspect of the one.
Right.
And I would say embrace to understand.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Right.
Yeah.
It's it's just like what we do on this, us brothers. I'm pretty sure I can speak for you brothers, because we accept all.
Okay.
We accept people of Buddhism, Islam. We met some brothers that's some Israelites last week that we had a good conversation with.
Good conversation.
They are brothers.
Okay.
And a lot of people would say, "Oh, y'all met them guys?"
Right.
And may think it went a different way, but it didn't. It was a beautiful conversation that we had. We got some understanding of how they move and where they move at and how they move.
Right.
Allow them to move their way.
Right.
But I do want to touch on what is the healing process of trauma that has laid forth within religious ideas, spiritual or spirituality or Muslims or whatever, and these traumas continue to pop up. What is the solution for these traumas?
Go ahead.
The first thing that popped up in my mind, and it's still unfolding, is allowance. Because a lot of, and I'll just deal with this one part and I'll let you take it. The one thing is identity. It's like because of trauma, because of situations, people lost indigenous identity, right? And then through religious or Christian religion, Islam, and certain things of that nature, people have utilized that to have some form of identity, whether it's from a literal perspective or from a spiritual perspective. So who am I to tell somebody like that's coming with a Kemet philosophy that they're not from Egypt?
Right.
Who am I to say that they're like, listen, based on this, and this, I'm Egyptian. All right, brother, amen. Or a brother that's a Hebrew or identifies as a Hebrew. Our brother, based on the curses, I would say the blessings and the curses, I'm a Hebrew.
Exactly.
Well, amen to that, and so on and so forth. So one, the reconciliation is allowing someone to express themselves through whatever they choose to identify themselves as, and not fight against it.
Right.
Because if we believe in that creator, that one source, that one power, that's the one that's going to guide them and lead them as they navigate through life.
Right.
Ultimately, anyway. Malak, you had a thought?
Yeah. I think that in line with on the same sheet of music as Zoc, I think that one thing that we could do is we should strive to align to your conscious vibration.
Okay.
I think that we spend way too much time outside of ourselves.
Right.
They couldn't.
I'll let you finish. Jared had a thought. I'll let you go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. She can. What's her
I don't know
thought?
how long ago I don't know how long ago she sent this. Let me grab it so I can speak into the mic. Jared said, when I was in the state of mind and I felt I had to convince everyone else that I had the way. It was solely out of fear, trying to lessen the doubt that I had about what I was believing.
Right.
Essentially, if I can convince them, then I must be right.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Right.
Good point, Jared. Good point.
Right, and just to home in on it, that's why we try to convince. You try to convince because you don't believe, you having trouble reconciling that as a truth for yourself.
So you think it's kind of like, well, the more people I have behind me or the more people I have standing next to me, it must be true. It's like it's confirming your belief.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where if you attune to yourself, right? If you tend to your conscious ability, if you tend to your spiritual progression, as you say, know thyself, you will come to know.
Right.
Why? Because experience will lend to you the appropriate measure that you need to build upon your foundation.
Say it again and start with experience and say it to the people.
What I said is that your experience will lend to you the appropriate amounts needed to build upon your foundation. So, and this is just, as you say, this is just minding your own business.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that's one vehicle. Another vehicle is seek and pray for knowledge. Right? Mm-hmm. However you pray, whatever that looks like for you, just continue to do it. And again, the Creator, through your experience, will again lend unto you.
Right.
Right? It will be given to you. Ask, and it shall be given.
Right.
Seek, and you shall find.
Right.
So again, this is all about doing your personal inner work. So again, choose that path of discipline.
Right.
Right? Because who am I to say that the Buddhist, the Muslim, or the Hebrew, right, that they're not doing everything that they can to reconcile themselves to the Creator.
Right.
That hasn't been given to me.
You know what's interesting about what you just said? Minus the Buddhists, because I don't know. When you go back to I want to say before medieval, like when the Moors ruled Spain, so 700 AD to the 1400s, 1492.
Mm-hmm.
Christians, Jews, Muslims all lived together and all built up society in Europe during that time. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. I feel like when someone truly strives to attain understanding of the Creator within, it's hard not to see the Creator in everybody else,
Right.
which causes unity.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because again, when you're dealing with the outer man or the outer appearance of what this person's doing, what that person's not doing, and so on and so forth, it distracts you from the truth,
Right.
which is within. Mm-hmm. And once you latch onto the truth within, it outsources out. Mm-hmm. So if the Creator is here, oh man, he's there too. And he's there too. And he's there too. Mm-hmm. And you see it in all people. And mind you, you have a different level of recognition of where a person is consciously, just based on that understanding alone, understanding yourself. When you get in let's say a confrontation with somebody, you have more of an understanding like, oh, this brother, he's asleep to what's going on right now. And I'm using that term, it's just a word. He's not aware consciously of what's really going on in this interaction, if it could be considered a negative interaction. So you have more compassion in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? In those cases, that's when you're right, but you allow them to be whatever. You allow them to, like, you know what, brother, you know what, you're right. Even though you may be right by the intellectual means.
Right.
You digress.